Tough restrictions return to Sydney's northern beaches as partygoers in the east are slammed for not heeding the warnings.
It is absolutely appalling to see what was clearly a group of people, a large gathering of people who didn't give a damn about the rest of Sydney.
Also ahead, bargain shoppers refuse to let a pandemic get between them and a Boxing Day deal. And Australia all out of the MCG after batting collapse on day one of the Boxing Day test. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Mariam Saab. Restrictions have again been imposed on movement in Sydney's northern beaches following a Christmas amnesty. Almost 40,000 residents were tested on Christmas Day. Another 9 local infections were discovered. 8 are part of the Northern Beaches cluster, and 6 of those people are close contacts of previously reported cases. There is one mystery infection at Bondi, but authorities believe that may be a false positive or an old case. Authorities today slammed a rowdy park party in Sydney's east as a potential super spreader event, but it was eerily quiet on the harbour as a Sydney to Hobart yacht race didn't set sail for the first time in nearly 80 years.
The tables are set, the flags are flying, but more to the yachts, their sails furled.
To see it so quiet, it's kind of sad.
Ray Roberts has raced from Sydney to Hobart for 30 years. He misses the crowds the most this Boxing Day.
That's bigger than an AFL grand final. That's bigger than a rugby league grand final. 250,000 people come to watch the start of the race. And it's sort of a part of Sydney culture, and it's a wonderful part of it.
Just not in 2020. Cops are on the beat at Bronte, where about 100 backpackers partied in the park celebrating Christmas, finding themselves on the wrong side of the riot squad and in the firing line of a furious health minister.
That event, I'm hoping, will not become a super spreader event, but there's every chance that it could be.
Police have the power to hand out $1,000 fines to anyone caught breaking public health orders. They didn't yesterday, but a 25-year-old man will face court because officers say he didn't move on when told to.
People on the northern beaches have been doing their part big time to keep not only themselves but the rest of Sydney safe. It is absolutely appalling.
Those 250,000 residents are again being asked to make sacrifices.
I think it needs to be quiet again until we keep the numbers down.
We've got to do what we're told to do, listen to the experts.
If you live on the northern beaches, you can only leave your home for 4 reasons: work and education, exercise, shopping for essentials, and receiving or providing care. But if you're in the northern zone, you can now gather in groups of 5 outside. And further south, up to 10 people are allowed to gather outdoors. You must stay in your part of the peninsula. Across Greater Sydney, you can have 10 visitors at home, including children.
Our strategy is to make sure we nip this in the bud as soon as we can, that we get on top of it as soon as we can.
The Northern Beaches cluster has already grown to 116 patients, but it's infections elsewhere that worry officials, including a mystery case at Bondi.
We are looking at whether that could be a false positive or an old case.
With just 5 days left of this year, authorities still don't know how the latest outbreak began. Jessie Dorset, ABC News, Sydney.
People have been hitting the shops in Sydney trying to snag a Boxing Day bargain. Now, this comes after the Premier warned shoppers to stay away amid concerns about COVID-19 spreading to the CBD.
Nothing was getting in the way of these shoppers and a good deal, not even coronavirus.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Maya's got their security guards there and a lot more police officers around.
Yeah, everyone's like 1.5 metres away, you know. So keep our distance, mate, you know.
It'd be great if everybody wore a mask.
The state government asked people to stay away from the CBD today. Authorities were happy about there being fewer shoppers this year.
We were very pleased this morning to see that people listened to our instructions regarding CBD shopping. Thank you to everybody for your cooperation.
But as the day went on, deal hunters couldn't help but hit Pitt Street, seemingly shoulder to shoulder. Away from the city in Bondi, it was quieter than usual.
Definitely less people.
Compared to last year, yeah, 100%, yeah.
It's not as busy. I think that's really positive because there's so much soulless, meaningless shopping. We're destroying the earth.
But in Sydney's west, people were going to extreme lengths for a bargain. Traffic controllers were needed to deal with the influx of cars. People in Parramatta were more relaxed about heading out for some retail therapy.
We're worried about retail everywhere. So if everyone stays away from the CBD but rushes to their suburban shops, the risk is just as great.
In regional New South Wales, bargain hunters hit the shops without a care.
It's going right off. In fact, the Dubbo economy through retail is absolutely booming.
People in Greater Sydney are being encouraged to space out their shopping over January.
We should spread out the visits to the shops over the next 2 weeks. There's no need to rush down to a shop today.
With not everyone wearing a mask, authorities will be hoping a bargain is the only thing shoppers picked up today. Kathleen Ferguson, ABC News, Sydney.
The FBI has been called in to investigate a mysterious explosion in the heart of Nashville. So far, no one has claimed responsibility for the attack, and police say they don't know what the motive might have been. But perhaps most curious of all, the vehicle blared out a message warning residents that a bomb was about to explode.
Hear this message. Evacuate now.
A flash of light caught on security camera was the massive explosion that left an entire city street in ruins. The blast erupted from a camper van parked in a commercial district of Nashville. Police say it could be felt 9 blocks away.
We have not received any threats whatsoever. It was total surprise.
Officers were responding to shots fired in the area. When they arrived on the scene, this vehicle was blaring what witnesses say sounded like a pre-recorded message, warning a bomb would soon explode.
I saw an RV directly out front across the street. I began to hear a broadcast from, like a recording coming from the RV. And it was saying, this vehicle has a bomb. If you can hear this message, you need to evacuate.
Oh my gosh.
Police say they do not yet have a suspect or a motive. The only thing they know for sure, the blast was intentional.
This morning's attack on our community was intended to create chaos and fear in this season of peace and hope.
3 people were injured, and there are reports investigators found possible human remains near the site, though that's yet to be confirmed.
We do not know whether anyone was in the RV when it exploded.
More than 40 businesses were damaged. Some of those who fled are now left with only the clothes they were wearing.
I'm trying to come to the realization that the place I've been living in for the last 5 years is completely demolished, and everything that I owned was in there.
Police helped to evacuate people from buildings in the area before the bomb went off. Their actions, along with the timing of the blast in the early hours of Christmas morning, likely kept this mysterious attack from taking a far greater toll. Randolph Nogle, ABC News.
The Pope has used his Christmas message to call for the vulnerable in society and developing nations to have equal access to coronavirus vaccines. Tens of thousands would normally turn out in St Peter's Square for the Christmas blessing, but lockdowns forced a more low-key address.
The life-saving medicine the world has been waiting for, and the Christmas plea from the Pope to ensure all will receive it.
Prego a tutti. I beg everyone, heads of state, companies and international organizations to promote cooperation, not competition, to find a solution for everyone, vaccines for all, especially for the most vulnerable and needy.
As wealthy nations in Europe and North America secure the bulk of vaccines, health experts fear developing countries will miss out. In fact, a recent study from the British Medical Journal estimates nearly a quarter of the world's population may not have access to a vaccine for at least another 12 months.
This is a global crisis,
and the solutions must be shared equitably as global public goods.
The World Health Organization's COVAX program has been set up to help fund the vaccine for developing countries. 80 wealthy nations, including Australia, New Zealand and members of the European Union, will contribute financially, but the United States and China are not taking part. With the doses already secured, the rollout has now begun across Latin America. In Mexico, doctors, nurses and members of the military were among the first to receive a jab. The anticipation so intense, the event was broadcast live on television.
Today we have a specific mechanism to turn the page on this pandemic, which has caused us so much grief.
It's a glimmer of hope for a country that has the 4th highest death toll in the world. Chile is also hoping this precious cargo will end the COVID curse. The first 10,000 doses arrived in Santiago yesterday, and within hours the country kicked off its vaccination drive. In Argentina, inoculations will begin next week after 300,000 doses of Russia's Sputnik vaccine were flown in from Moscow. The global effort to end the pandemic is gathering pace. Lydia Feng, ABC News.
India has bounced back from its humiliating Adelaide loss to dominate day one of the Boxing Day test at the MCG. A brilliant bowling performance saw the visitors dismiss Australia for less than 200.